Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Padmapriya Seshadri. I am a solution architect with Amazon. What that actually means is that I help customers build solutions that can be built on the cloud using AWS. I usually work with a lot of financial companies. And in this session, I'm going to be speaking about open banking and open APIs. All right. Traditionally, or in contrast, what we see is the consumer is logged in by the banks usually, and the banks control where the data is going in and going out. In contrast to that, we see in open banking, consumers control and provide their consent to where their data can be shared, if it is to third parties or not. That decision is with the consumers. This is the basic difference. And why is it this way? We're all using one of those apps, right? One of those fancy apps which helps us with our taxes, which help us to compare insurance products, the customer experience and the personalized experience that we get. This is the driver basically which is pushing and getting us many features that we want to look at. Let me start with the pioneer and the largest, I guess, ecosystem. I just want to, I've highlighted one little thing over here, which is when did PSD2 come into effect. This is the regulatory aspect, and this controls, and it actually pushes a lot of innovation that we see. Well, if we see that the PSD2 started off in 2018, and the effect, just within 2 years, you're looking at 1 million active users and across consumers and businesses in UK, right? In another 2 years, you're looking at $1 billion, what was it? Pounds, I guess. I don't know the denomination, but that's collected on taxes by HMRC. And we look at a little later, just maybe half a year, you're looking at 1 billion API calls, 5 million open banking payments, and 5 million active users. And as UK continues its journey towards it, they're implementing more and more data innovation and standards. I'm sure this is going to grow much beyond this. So walking you back through, I don't have a pointer here, but this is a typical thriving ecosystem in Australia, a little bit closer. You have your agencies, your government, your ACCC who are responsible, who are looking at accrediting consumers and banks. So you have different layers that are coming out. One is the data holders. These are the accredited data holders, the typical banks and PayPals and who not. Yeah. On top of this, you also have data recipients. Now, they again go through the accreditation process with the ACCC, and then they are able to gain access, insights, and data from the original data holders. Not just this, right? You also have CDR representatives. These are not even authorized data recipients, but they are able to get some insights and data from them. And if you look at it, that's a large set right there, including TPA, Capita, Brand, etc. Moving on, closer to home, Singapore, right? It's fairly advanced. The financial industry API register today sees about 900 APIs just in banking. You have capital markets, insurance, and payments. A lot of APIs are published by DBS, Citibank, OCBC, you name it. Quite a number of institutes are already on this path. Apart from this, Singapore has gone in and put in SG Findex. This is a public digital infrastructure using a national digital identity, right? So when the customer kind of goes in, uses this application, mymoneysense.org, they have to go into SG Pass or Sync Pass, and then they give in their national identity, and that collects information, or they give the consent basically to collect information both from the government and from the financial institutions, whether it's insurance, NTUCs, Singlife or DBS or other banks. So it's able to collate all this information and give the final customer where their assets are, how they're spending money, their expenses look out, and it's a holistic approach. So this is SG Findex that's come up. Going in a little bit deeper, right? So what the pillars that kind of facilitate this are basically, firstly, APIs. We're talking about standardization, governance, how we're going to monetize it if that's the requirement. And the next very significant aspect is the security. How do you provide the access control to specific customers on specific third parties? How do you store the data securely? How do you encrypt that? And where do you even store the keys that you encrypt? So if your keys are thrown away, or if it's not secured, then that's an issue. So the entire gamut of these things is quite important in the game of open finance. The third pillar is the data. There's a lot of data, and to the previous conversation about AI, right? So with generative AI, it's even more important to get in the data, and you're looking at business analytics or business intelligence. So where you almost type a question and you're getting answers looking at the data. Storing this data and providing it across the third parties, as well as your the banks, that creating that dimension is important. Fourth pillar, consent. Now, consent is not static. It's not, I have given the consent and forever the data can be shared with a third party. There's a time, or a tokenized time, that is required. And the consent management across multiple players and how they manage the customer's data comes into play over here. A final pillar is partnership. And why I say this is, the APIs might be exposed. The support system, the SLAs, the changes in the versioning, the entire ecosystem of how you manage your APIs, how it is invoked, etc. There needs to be a partnership coming in between the third parties and the banks. So these are the building blocks to any kind of solution. I'm looking at both the bank systems and the third parties. From the banks themselves, they need to have an identity provider and a consent management system. When I say identity provider, that is where your customers' IDs are stored, the third parties are stored, and that ties in with the consent management system, because the digital consents of a customer is collected and then transferred across to the third parties. And this is not and there has to be a governance process that puts in it in an automated manner, so it flows back and forth between the third parties as well as the banks. Developer sandbox, this is the requirement, because you're enabling different developers to come up and build innovative solutions, create it. So accessing APIs, what it feels like, what the responses are, etc. This is, we mentioned Singapore, so you see a lot of the banks, whether it's OCBC, DBS, Citi, they all have these developer portals where developers can go in and build the innovative solutions. Finally, it's API management systems. So this provides governance, monitoring, security, access controls, all in one place. So it's not well, it's scalable to manage so many APIs for an organization. One important thing that's coming up is the data clean rooms. So this is a room, or this is a secure room where organizations can share data without sharing the underlying raw format, or without naming the specific customer. So this helps both organizations to have a partnership where they can share relevant data. When you look at the third party itself, apart from the product that they are having, they'll need to build up authentication and authorization systems to manage the consents and to be able to put in recon systems and file transfers to ensure that they are in sync with the main data provider. And to manage this, they might need to build their data analytics with real-time data streaming. So AWS has the technology to build these solutions for open banking. When you're looking at customer experience, whether it is sending notifications, emails, SMSs, or using AI, you want to have a machine learning or even generative AI, there are SageMaker and Bedrock that's available. For monitoring and reporting, you use CloudWatch, which allows for logging and access control, access details, as well as the observability and insights dashboards with QuickSight. For our open APIs, the APIs itself, API Gateway allows for versionings, management, security, and the governance of APIs in a scalable manner. Basically, the Lambda and the AKS provide the compute for your applications, for your APIs, so that you can pull in your business logic there. Data, whether it's static data, which can reside in S3, or you can use a data warehouse such as Redshift. Also providing you streaming capabilities using Kinesis. Finally, the infrastructure is always available with the EC2, the load balancing. It gives you the scalable manner to use any kind of compute to scale for your customers as they kind of grow. So we talked about the capabilities, but also security is an important factor, and there are a reasonable number of services from AWS that support security, from user access control with IAM, secret manager to store specific credential information or your database secrets, etc. Providing user access, whether it's on your mobile applications or your internet-based applications, you can use Cognito. Monitoring and control with GuardDuty provides you access into understanding what are the vulnerabilities that are being faced. Data protection, where you can store and create your own keys using Cloud HSM, which is you can create the keys with the FIPS standard. CloudFront provides a very secure way of transferring your files, your images, and data across. Macie can pull out sensitive data. If you're storing some sensitive data, it can detect it. You can even customize what kind of sensitive data you're wanting to look at, and this can help you with any kind of regulatory aspects if that be the need. DDoS and encryption. AWS Shield provides a comprehensive DDoS protection for your infrastructure as well. The key management service helps you to decrypt and encrypt the data as you want to keep it secure. With that, I come to the end. if. Thanks a lot for this, and I hope it was useful for everyone.